Hi guys, I'm Shelley, welcome back to my channel, and it's been a minute since I've sat down and talked about books, and I had a thought, because over the last 2 years I've slowly been collecting certain genre of book, and that is mainly history books about women. On the back of the Me Too campaign and this new wave of feminism, women's stories are being told and being published in massive amounts of quantities. There's a lot to choose from. I have a sample of them here, and by sample I mean about 8 or 9, and I thought I would review them for you just in case you fancied reading one of these books but you didn't know which to go for. I'm going to dive in with the most, I think, difficult subject to talk about. The first book I'm going to tell you about is Shout Your Abortion by Amelia Bonow, B-O-N-O-W. So this book started as a hashtag. Amelia had had an abortion and she realised that other friends of hers had had abortions, but it's something that isn't talked about. She wrote a post about her abortion, hashtag it, Shout Your Abortion, and it went viral. And many other women started to talk about their abortion. All of those things were put into a book, along with meetings that these women had, along with art that these women had made, along with rallies. All of the things that have happened under the hashtag Shout Your Abortion have been put into this book. It's beautiful, it's full of artwork and cartoons. I believe in the right to choose. I know a lot of people don't, due to religion, due to any other reasons, and it's a very difficult conversation to have because it's two polar opposites. But I think this is an important book. I think it's an interesting book to read. I think we should talk about abortions more. Also, if you're interested in reading this, I would suggest going to watch the documentary Reversing Roe on Netflix. That's so interesting about American culture and abortion and everything that's happening over there and the shutdown of the clinics. So I would suggest going to watch that. Next up, I have Rebel Ladies Who Brazen Rocked the World. I think that might be a translation, because obviously in English it would probably be Brazenly Rocked the World. But it's by Penelope Bagiu, B-A-G-I-E-U. I'm guessing she's French. This is a graphic novel version of women throughout history. It is profiles of just wonderful women, and a lot of women that I had no idea existed, from all around the world completely. It is fascinating, and of course the artwork is just, I mean, this is about the woman who invented the Moomins. I didn't know half of these stories. It's brilliant. Some of the women in here are Josephine Baker, who was a dancer and a fighter in the resistance in France. Teresa Clerk, who I am in love with because she has invented a kind of community place for women to go as they get older, and they run their own kind of old people's home, but it's a community and it's all run by little old women, and I want to move there. Seriously, I want to live there now. I love this, and I love the fact that it's in graphic novel form. The women of power in this are brilliant. Next up, I have Renegade Women in Film and TV by Elizabeth Weitzman, I think it's Weitzman, and illustrated by Austin Clare Clements. This book is a tribute to the women of film and TV who broke the glass ceiling, who in one point actually invented cinema. It has biographies and interviews with Barbra Streisand, Sigourney Weaver. Later on it has stories from Amy Poehler and Laverne Cox and Shonda Rhimes, Rita Moreno, I always get her name wrong, but I love her, my god do I love her. Each profile highlights the achievements of 50 women. We stand on the shoulders of the women at the beginning of this book. Even us as YouTubers, I think female YouTubers, we stand on their shoulders too, because they invented the medium for us to be able to do this. They invented entertainment. This woman invented cinema. I mean, her husband took it over and decided that he was going to put his name on it instead, but she invented the medium of film. As somebody who likes entertainment and is connected to it, this was really, really interesting to me. Plus a friend of mine is credited in the back of the book, so that always helps. Next up is a book I can hardly pick up because it's more like an encyclopedia than it is book, so you're going to see very little of this. It's Women of Our History by D.K. Publishing, with a foreword from Lucy Worsley, who is the historian from like BBC 3 and BBC 4, and I love her. But let's face it, it's big. It's a big one. I just smashed myself in the face with it. That always helps. It's huge. but it is an encyclopedia. Literally, I will show you inside. Look at this monster. It's got a contents broken down into different ages. It is literally an encyclopedia of women. Brilliant. I mean, I loved encyclopedias as a kid. I would always grab it off of the bookshelf and just like flick through it and look at all the pictures and learn about things. I just loved them. And now there's a female one. Thank you. I would love to give this to my nieces. I'm just like, here you go, learn history, read all the things. In fact, I'll read it to you if I could. Dyslexia doesn't work with reading out loud. This celebrates numerous important roles that women have in science, in culture, in history, in everything that has built the society we have today. It is all in here. Starting with the Bronze Age and ending up to date now. Everything is in here. All of the things broken down into little handy segments. So if you wanted to just learn about a specific age, you could find that in the contents and go to it. It's very encyclopedia-like. I haven't read it yet. I've just looked at it, and through looking at it, I have fallen in love with it. I think this is kind of amalgamation of everything in one, and I love this. Next up, it is A History of Britain in 21 Women by Jenny Murray. Jenny Murray is the one of the presenters on the Women's Hour on BBC Radio 4. So this book draws together 21 women who influence British society, culture, religion, politics, history, all of them things. Not all of these women are great. Yes, Margaret Thatcher is in here, but she did make her stance on British politics. It shows not only the good, but also the not so great of female history, because let's face it, we're not all perfect. And this kind of shows that, but it focuses on the famous queens such as Queen Elizabeth and Boadicea, writers, politicians, fashion designers. This is, for better or worse, the women who have left a mark on British history. Next up, we have one that I personally love. It's less of a encyclopedia or a look at the history of women, and more a look at what it's like to be a woman today and being pregnant and giving birth. And that is Nobody Told Me, Poetry and Parenthood by Holly McNish. I mean, if you're ever pregnant, read this, because this goes through stage by stage the amazingness of being pregnant, the crappiness of being pregnant, the absolute stupidity of being pregnant and giving birth, the ridiculousness of the health system and what you have to go through. But it's also wonderful what your body does. I mean, the fact that you grow a human, your whole body goes out of shape and goes back in again. How does biology do that? It's amazing, and it puts women up as being Wonder Women for going through birth, which is true. If you have a friend who is pregnant, I would suggest getting her this just as a... Okay, yes, it shows the gory parts and it talks about the gory parts of pregnancy, but it also tells you that you are bloody brilliant for doing this, and you are fantastic. And it doesn't hide away from, yes, sometimes there are going to be bad days, weeks, months, but it also puts a light on the beauty of pregnancy. Last but not least, I'm getting to the end, I'll shut up soon, I promise. I've got to talk about this again. It's Bare Reality by Laura Dodsworth. It's the Bible of women. I love these books so much. So this one is about boobs. I'm going to get censored for showing breasts, but stuff you, YouTube. And this is a conversation with, I think it was 100 women. Yes, 100 women about their boobs, about their breasts, about how they affect them, how they've grown up with them. Some people have had cancer. Some people are biologically women. Some people aren't biologically a woman. And it's how it affects everybody. And I love this, I love this, and then she only went and topped it, didn't she? She only went and topped it with Bare Reality, 100 women, and their vaginas, and vulvas, clitorises, and periods, and all of the things. I've talked about this in my latest favourites video, because there's also a documentary that Laura Dodsworth did on this one. So much of who we are as women is linked to what we are told about ourselves, and the education that we are given. I'm going to put it down, it's heavy. And sometimes shame that is around periods and around vulvas and cleanliness and FGM is just... All of these things are covered in these books, and they are moving and they are wonderful. And yes, it is graphic. I will show you. You do see vaginas, okay? and that's brilliant. There are also close-ups as well, but I don't know if I'm even allowed to show that on here. But there are close-up of what vaginas look like, and they're so different. I didn't know this. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't really know it until you see it. You don't know until you see a close-up. You're just like, every vagina is flipping different, and they're all wonderful. If you have children, if you're a human, and just read them. Really, I could never eloquently say how good these books are. There is also one on manhood, but I'm talking about the women right now. I want to give these books, all of these books that I have here, to everybody. It's just like, so there should be a library that you get as you are born. Instead of like being given free Pampers or whatever, it's just like, here is a library for your child to read as they get older. It's just, it would be so wonderful if that existed, or if these books existed in schools, but they don't. So that is all of my women's history books or women's story books. I think I have one more. I have Story Time for Rebel Girls, but that's at my mum's. That is also brilliant. It is aimed as basically bedtime stories for younger children, telling you about strong women, and I think it's a really good starting book. Anyway, I hope you guys are good. This has probably been a very long video, but you know, these books are important. And if you have read them, if you want to read them, if you've got any thoughts, hit me up down below. I would love to talk about them. I hope you guys are good, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Disclaimer, I am a feminist, but I don't hate men. In fact, I love them. I just believe in equality and the right to our own history. That's pretty much it. Okay, bye. Excuse me.